I made a little video about these last week, and I put it in with the Friday mail call. And I thought I'd make sort of a separate one. So this, well, I got two watches, two 6105s. This was a good week. Two 6105s came in. One came back to me. This one used to be mine. And I was actually kind of sad that I sold it. And now it's back. I didn't try to get it back. It just kind of appeared. It is the notable, most cool thing about this is that it is the third earliest known 6105. It's the, darn it. Yeah, it's the 592nd one of these made. There are two others that I know of that have earlier serial numbers. But this is a really early one, March 1968. It's original lume on the dial and the hands. That's the original long sweep. I re-lumed that sweep, and I'm not happy with it. I don't think it looks good. So I'm going to redo that. This is the original lume, but you'll notice it's kind of green, patinaed, and the hand too. So the deal with that, when I did this, I hadn't yet invented my complete lume cleaning solution. I had something that sort of a prototype, and it kind of worked, but I'm going to be able to go back in and make this much nicer. So I'm going to do that, and I'll relume this sweep hand with the correct color and grain, which I now can do. I couldn't do it before. So that's going to get ammonite lume. There it is. I love these. They're an elegant piece. Along with the 62 MAS, it's one of the most beautiful designs. And just like, both of these plus the 62 MAS, they're absolutely unique designs. Nothing done at that time or since looks like these. 60s chronographs and 60s divers were either a dress watch that had a dive bezel, or they were, some kind of Swiss thing, but nothing else looks like these. They're just beautiful. So anyway, I'll get that done. This one I have, what's the crystal in this one? Yeah, this one has a Type 1 crystal in it. That's actually original. I don't mind it. Sticks up a little high, but it's not that bad. No, actually, I lied. That's a Type 2. It's not a Type 3. I was like, it's not that high. Type 1s are really, really high. So that's cool. And this one is new to me. It's new to me. This came to me from the original owner. This is a one-owner watch. This crystal is really nice. It's nicer, actually, than the case should allow. I think this crystal's a replacement. Because, you've got these marks on the insert and stuff, and I bet that's a service one, but I'm not sure. I haven't opened this up. Old days, you used to be able to find these a lot. This kind of condition, one owner, original watch. And this is a kind of an extreme example, but this is what I always look for when it comes to, Seikos, old Seikos being sold. Because I don't want them to have been restored. I don't want them to have been cleaned. I want them to be exactly as they were when they came out of the sock drawer. This gentleman was in the service during Vietnam War. He bought this watch. On base, I believe, in Guam. So it's a little beat up, and you can see the case is hazy. It's got a doink there. Clearly, it's dirty. It's got hazing. All these fine marks all over the case. But no real big gouges, you see? I think the only real big hit is right there. The case lines are beautiful. So that's the thing I would look. The lume is a little patinated, it's a little grayed out. I can cure that. I think the lume in the pip is probably bad. Yeah, look at the haze on the underside of the crystal. Looks like smoke under there. Sometimes water will do that. You get just a tiny amount of water in, it'll put that haze on there. Another reason too is if a watch sits for a really long time, the volatile elements and lubrications will outgas. And so you'll get deposition along with moisture on the underneath of the crystal because it's the most likely to basically experience large temperature changes from inside to outside. Watch like this, warm on your wrist, cold day, you're going to get condensation under there. And sometimes the condensation will bring lubrication with it as well. It does different things to different watches. This one, it didn't really seem to do much. The Lume's good. I mean, look at the sweep hand. Lume, again, it's a little grayed down. I'm going to have to clean it, but it'll look great when it's done. But look at the frosted surface. Look at the frosted surface of the marker. Damn it. It's supposed to be like satin like that. See, it's not high polish. The earlier ones, the slim cases, always got high polish. Always. And you can see those here. And it looks fancy. And it's part of the grammar of design because that whole thing was about the watches looking bright and sparkly and jewelry. But from a diver's perspective, underwater, you want as much visibility as possible. So they made them matte. This is cool. This is a late one. November 76. But that's what good looks like. That's what original looks like. Totally original. Never touched. There's the only mark. I can actually feel that one. This must be more recent. This model actually was one of the ones that really wowed me when it came to Seiko. First one I ever saw that I was impressed with was a 6309, 7049. And so I started looking online. This was a long time ago. I started looking online for these, and when I saw these beautiful ergonomics, the gorgeous undercut of the case, which is meant to go, against your wrist. So when you go like this, it doesn't dig into your wrist. It's perfect. It's perfect. The angle is perfect. The crown is protected, which is nice because it won't knock off. But what it also does is it makes sure the edge of the crown doesn't dig into the back of your hand or your wrist, which is a problem I've actually had with like 62 MASs and other similar watches with a big crown that sticks out. It'll dig into your hand sometimes. This one's protected. I love the sort of all the compound curves. And it's just a gorgeous watch. It's strange. I remember that that first time when I started looking at pictures, I had this, because you'd see them and they always had their old dive straps on them because they were clearly out of somebody's, gear a lot of the time. And it had this look. I can't even really describe it. It was like this. It was just magnetic. I was so sort of charmed and blown away by it. And I wanted one so badly. And I was like, God, I'm never going to be able to afford one. They were a lot of money. They were like, if they were really nice, they might go for $300 back then. But only if it was really, really, really nice. A watch like this. It's not bad in this condition, but it would have been considered pretty badly damaged just for the lume, because in those days we couldn't clean the lume. I hadn't invented that yet. For me. I don't know if anybody else can do that, but I made this for me. It's just a timeless design. It's a timeless design. I think it's beautiful, beautiful. I think it blows away pretty much any other diver from the 60s era, because it was designed in the 60s, even though it was made in the 70s. It was designed by the same team that made the 62 MAS and the Slim Case 6105 and this, and the 6309, 6306. It has so much personality and uniqueness. Nothing else looks like these. Nothing. Blows away Rolex, Doxa, there isn't a diver that I'm aware of that is instantly as compelling and as beautifully designed as this one, this model. One thing that's cool about this, so these were the first ones with locking crowns. All these earlier ones didn't have locking crowns, which is one of the reasons why the Lume is often destroyed. We see that too with 6105s, because the crown is sealed. I'm sorry, the crown is sealed. The gasket is inside it. You can't replace it. In theory, I can. But so if you wanted to make it watertight, you had to get a complete replacement crown. And those, Seiko doesn't do long-term support, so they just stopped making them. But so, that was the problem. But the locking crown helped. One thing is that for whatever reason, the locking pins for these, because there's a pin inside the case over here, and it drops into one of these slots here. That's the lock. But often, I don't know why, the pin is, I think it moves positions, because the position of the crowns, in terms of where the slots are orientated, can change wildly. A lot of times they're not symmetrical or they're half cranked over. This one's cool because look, the lines, these channels, they're equal with the upper edges of the cutout. So it has a nice symmetrical look to it. Anyway, they're great watches. I desperately wish Seiko would make a real reissue of this. And by real reissue, I mean 100% correct in terms of cosmetics, with a good upgraded movement. I like the 7000 series movement. I don't have a problem with it. It's reliable. It's good. But, it's got to have the 4 o'clock crown. It's got to be correct. It's not hard to be correct. What's wrong with Seiko? It's not hard to be correct. Look at this. All they have to do is make that. That's all they have to do. You can't tell me that they don't have the money to do it, and that they're like rooting around in the couch looking for change because they want to make another watch model and they can't figure it out and how to do it. There it is. It's right there. I mean, put a good movement on the inside, fine. But I mean, like the reproductions, they all have crowns at 345 because it's a 7000 series movement. And Seiko is so cheap about stupid things that they would rather make a completely different case than simply change the date wheel. Because that's all they would have had to have done. But they didn't do that. They wanted to save money by doing this for reasons. I don't know. Someday when we get to Tokyo, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to Seiko headquarters, and I'm going to walk right by the front desk, and I'm going to go right up to the very top, and I'm going to get all the executives into one room, and I'm going to have a discussion at them. And we are going to come to an agreement, which is they're going to do what I'm going to tell them to do, and then the world will be a better place because we will once again have a correct 6105 in stores that can be bought for a reasonable amount of money. And it's going to be great. I can't, Seiko has their problems. I'm going to go there and I'm going to help them fix it. And everything's going to be better. I'm just joking. It's just a beautiful watch. I don't know why Seiko won't reproduce these. It should be their legacy model. This should be their Rolex Submariner. This should be their Rolex, Rolex 1680. There's nothing that looks like this. One legacy model. They'd sell 1 billion of them. But no. Well, what are you going to do? We still have these. And that's what good looks like. So I can complain about Seiko all I want to, but this Seiko from back in the day, that was a different company, really, in my mind. This is the real deal. And the fact that they don't make them anymore makes these special. So I'll look at it from that perspective. Plus, I don't think I'm going to go to Tokyo anytime soon. Okay, well, I hope that was informative and not as annoying as it potentially might be. The problem I have, by the way, with like the modern reproductions made by other companies is that they get the dials wrong. They get the text wrong. They put weird logos on the dial. I understand they're a different company, but come on now. If it were me, I would have, and I worked for one of these other companies, and after I had Seiko got a talking to from me, and after they ignored me, I would go to some other company and I would have all of this made exactly correctly, and I wouldn't have a logo on there. I would have the 2 tiny holes for the 2 tiny logo locating pins. Exactly where they should be, and you just drop a Seiko logo on it. You know, if Seiko wants to complain about it, why don't they make a correct 6105?
They're complaining?
I don't, well, they'd be complaining if I was basically helping to create a one-to-one recreation externally of a 6105. But you know what? Screw them. They can come complain to me when they can make a watch that doesn't come out of the factory with beat error. Until they solve that problem, oh man, I'd go down to QC and I'd get one of those big yardsticks and I'd just start laying about me.
Stop it.
It'd be hilarious.
No,
Well, come on, some big bearded Western dude with a giant cloud of white hair with one of those big long wooden yardsticks just whapping people. Screaming in English.
Screaming English.
Whap, 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 whap. Yeah, something like that. You know, I can't help Seiko, but you can help yourself. Save your pennies. If you really want one of these, save your pennies. Save up, save up, save up, and buy the right one. Don't go half measures. Don't be like me. Buy the right one first, not 15th, because in the end, you'll save a lot more money. I hope this one's going to stay here. I'll clean it up and we'll see how it goes. I'll get all the haze off this case and see how shiny it looks when we clean it up. I'll do a really fine, just hand polish with some flits on this. It's not really a polish. It's like polishing silver. You just make it prettier, shinier. Honey, I'll take this one to Seiko and I'll throw it at the chairman of the board's forehead.
What watch is it?
It's a 6105 8119. It's the one we bought from that gentleman, the original owner.
Yeah.
You know, and one of these things hucked with sufficient force would absolutely leave a mark in someone's forehead.
Wow.
I mean, because you got this, right? You can get a grip right on it. Man, it's just like...
Stop it.
No, if you don't like this, you can go. Anyway, that's how you skip a stone, right? You need to do the same thing. But if you go with an overhand movement, would you stop? Anyway, you get an overhand movement, so you get a reverse spin. And then, I mean, if you're really good with what you're doing, it'll hit right here. I'm joking, folks. I would never throw a watch at someone. It's just, I don't understand what the holdup is. Oh, well, that's it. Save up your pennies, buy the right one, buy a good one, and keep it. There are my rules. Save your money, buy the right one, don't sell it. Okay, thank you, folks.